just had breakfast with Senator Butler. Well, you got to make sure people are at home, take care of business. Before I give some remarks, the thing she's talking about is what we call ambassador's tour every other year. We do that. And you know, when we first started 20 years ago, we had to explain to people why well, my gosh, there's people here I know. Anyway, you know, to promote international trade, because we were in an economic depression, agricultural depression in the 80s, and there's not much a U.S. senator can do for economic development because the governors and the local chambers of commerce do that. But I thought in terms of all these ambassadors from these countries that were coming to me saying, can the United States help us this way or that way? I thought, well, let's acquaint them with Iowa and see how they can help Iowa. But of course, trade's a two-way street, so how can we help each other in a sense? And when we first started out, you had to tell people where Iowa was. Why would you come there? You'd have to make a lot of phone calls to get people to come there. Lucky to get 20 to 25 countries represented the first couple times. And then we stayed in homes of Iowans, and the hospitality of Iowans became so famous here in Washington, D.C. that since 1990, I don't think I made a single telephone call for people to come. And 4 years ago, we had 70 countries represented, and this last year, we had 61 countries represented. So it's not anything Chuck Grassley did. It's the hospitality of Iowans, and kind of, I think another reason is ambassadors here never get acquainted with each other. So they go out and spend 5 days in Iowa on a bus, and they actually get acquainted with their colleagues out here as well. Well, listen, you folks are here for a different purpose, and I was asked to put a special emphasis upon this for Iowa, and that's what I want to do for about 5 minutes, so please let me do that. So first of all, thanks all of you who are interested in promoting international understanding. That's a very important thing to do, and in the globalized world we're in, and even before the globalized world, we still, it was something needed to be done. But now, since everybody lives so close to everybody else, wherever you live on this globe, it's very, very important that we continue that. And I think I ought to thank my colleagues, Congressman Moran and LaHood for helping this for you so that you get around well here and get everything that you need to make this seminar what it you intended to be. It's very important to have, I see another lady from India there that I recognize. How you doing? Very good public servant in Iowa as well. It's very important to have a center for citizen diplomacy, and fitting that center be located in Iowa. We have a long history of citizen involvement in international relations, maybe a better way to say it, of making an impact on international things. Iowans know well the virtue of sharing our homes, our values, and our achievements with people all over the world. One such citizen diplomat was Governor of Iowa, Governor Ray. Governor Ray, and he was governor for 14 years, I believe, starting in 1968. Led the effort in 1975 to resettle. Then just 1,200 tied down people from fleeing from Laos. It wasn't long later, we soon became a home for what was known as the boat people from Vietnam, refugees. And it seems that the effort that Governor Ray started has welcomed nearly 25,000 refugees from around the world. I want to emphasize refugees because that's not the only people from around the world. We have all kinds of very diverse society developing in Iowa over a long course of history. You know, maybe 1–2% of our population might be considered minority and not very diversified. Now very, very diversified. And still a small percentage of that might be minority, but really quite a contribution to our state if you stop to think about where you run into these people different ways. So we have a lot to learn, but remember, we are a welcoming society in Iowa, and I think the numbers prove it, and the leadership of Governor Ray and people since then prove it as well. and we still are open as we're thinking about what can we do for Iraqi people, or what have we done very recently within the last 10 years just for Bosnia people. Well, it kind of started with a guy by the name of Bob Ray. And if you met him in Iowa, you'd still call him governor. Dr. Norman Borlaug is another Iowan who has done a lot to spread the reputation of Iowa around the world, but his expertise has benefited hungry people around the world. His effort to increase food production and alleviate global hunger earned him the Nobel Peace Prize. I think that was in 1971, as the father of the Green Revolution. And just recently, Congress gave him, as they've only done 4 other people who had received the Nobel Peace Prize, also getting the Congressional Gold Medal, and we had a ceremony for him here within the last 2 months on that. Dr. Borlaug's efforts in food production were successful in sparing millions from famine and starvation. He also, in the process, though, spread peace and understanding along with life-saving nutrition. And I always try to remind people that think that food grows in supermarkets and doesn't grow on farms, that farmers are very important. Number one, we're only 9 meals away from a revolution anywhere in the world, so farmers producing an abundance of food bring social cohesion to the countries that would otherwise suffer from hunger and do suffer from hunger. The second thing is, for national security, maybe less important, but as Napoleon said, an army marches on its belly. So if anybody ever wonders whether farmers are important, it's not just for you to eat, it's for social cohesion and for national security. Dr. Borlaug obviously helped feed more people as a contribution, but bringing a better environment for everybody. So Iowans continue to have a real understanding of the benefit, I think, of international exchange, whether it's educational, culture, or through commerce. Iowa is a leader in bringing international students to our educational system. We have, between community colleges, private colleges, and 3 state universities, we have about 48 different places of understanding, of education in our state. And we rank 1st in the Midwest and 6th out of 50 states nationally in the international student enrollment on a per capita basis. And I see another guy I know from Iowa. Are you all from Iowa? Okay. Anyway, we do. So understand, we get people from all over the world to come to our institutions. How many do you have at your university?
Right now, about 20. From international students, about 20.
Yeah, okay. And so we rank 1st in the Midwest on a per capita basis, 6th nationally of the number of our students on a per capita basis. With regard to international commerce, Iowa's agriculture economy is part and parcel of the global marketplace, but this is something that I always say at every stop of the 18 to 20 we have every other year on the ambassador's tour. International trade is a two-way street. We don't anticipate that you come here just to buy from us. We expect to sell to you, because that's the way it is, that's the way it ought to be. But number one, millions of people, business or otherwise, around the world, having daily contacts on a business basis, making a business deal, or maybe not making a business deal, but still leaving impression, have a tremendous impact on international understanding and the resultant peace that comes when you have greater international understanding with the business deals that they do, the commerce, the relationships they establish, etc., 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 and has much more of an impact upon those things that are so important, international understanding and peace, than those of us in politics or those in diplomacy. And I don't mean to denigrate, I don't denigrate diplomacy. Politics and diplomacy sets an environment. But what we do is a spit in the ocean for international peace and understanding compared to what individual, whether it's in commerce or it's just people that want to do good understanding, international understanding around the world. So that's why it's important that you folks gather to promote this. That's why it's very important that you consider the things that you're considering here today. The interaction of government officials is important, but not as important as what individuals can do, mostly because of numbers, just because it can be done. And there is, in most instances, probably not any subversive tendency given to what individuals are doing compared to what sometimes those of us in politics or diplomacy might be convicted of doing. So I'm pleased that the U.S. Center for Citizen Diplomacy is leading the promotion of citizen involvement in international relations and citizen diplomacy. I'm doubly pleased that it's located in the center of real America, where it's grounded in the values and worth ethic of the Midwest. And during this challenging time of geopolitics, I'm glad to know that the effort to promote international understanding and build trust among the people around the globe is run by these trustworthy people